Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Architectural Review Board on October 6th. It is 6 p.m. We'll start with the roll call of all members.
Mrs. Fraser?
Here.
Mr. Gillen?
Here.
Mr. Markovitz?
Here.
Mr. Midley?
Here.
Mr. Sharma?
Here.
Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak who does not have a case number? Okay, then we can start with the first case. The first case is 221053, which is at 8934 Darrow Road, Studio Wish signage.
So Studio Wish is moving from the corner unit right next door to Giant Eagle. So they're taking over the old Hallmark space, if you remember that.
Yes.
And so they're essentially rebranding. They've kind of taken their old, I'll say old studio, but it's not that old, and kind of went through a whole modernization. And so the design that you have in front of you is what she's trying to get approval for. So it's for the internally illuminated wall sign and for the monument sign.
So what kind of business is it?
Studio Wish is a hair salon.
Hair salon, okay.
Yeah.
Is this the same location where a pet store was located most recently?
They're right next door. So Pet Supply Plus, I believe.
Yeah, there's a
It's
little
where.
dog in the building.
So they were on the corner.
Here's a picture of,
Right.
and they've already put up, is that a temporary sign they put up there?
Yeah, it's a banner.
It's a banner, okay. Yeah, so the pet store is further down.
It's to the left.
Okay, and that's still existing.
Yes, this is where Hallmark used to be.
Right, and then Panera's even further
You can
down.
kind of
That's
see
correct.
that Supply Plus in the edge of this picture. Where it's
Right,
at.
yeah,
And then,
okay. So these panels, the sign facing is currently white. I was just looking to see if it was replaced as white, but that's a different location.
No, they
already
took
replaced it.
when Hallmark was there, they took all of that signage down. And so it's been vacant probably going on 3 years now.
It has been that long,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I've been in my location for 4 and Hallmark left within the first year.
Okay. I see nothing objectionable with the logo. There's a mixture of capital and lowercase, but I think that's the look she's going for.
Yeah, kind of funky.
It's, yeah, a little hard to read to me, but, I mean, it's not
Yeah.
objectionable. The location on the building, is their temporary sign is up top. Are they intending to put Studio Wish up top or down on the sign
No, same
face?
place, in the same location.
Yeah, there's
All the other stores are down low. Why is this one?
Johnny.
Well, if you read the article,
Right.
the building department did provide, it states it in the signage agreement for that area that Giant Eagle and Panera had
Being the anchor
availability to be able to
tenants.
do it where it is, but all the other ones have fallen onto the channels.
Right.
here's the exception of any storefront that has an awning, they're all down on those white panels
Right.
throughout that plaza.
Yeah, except Panera doesn't. Panera has their sign at the top.
Right. And according to the sign criteria, it states that the exception of Giant Eagle and Panera.
Correct.
Those are individual channel letters too. Where this is a single panel sign.
It's a cabinet sign, yes.
Right.
Right.
I would recommend we move it down in alignment with the Great Clip sign that's next door and
Keep it consistent. with
keep
the
it
rest of the plaza.
consistent. So then when you're driving down the side of the plaza, you'll be able to see them. Otherwise, when you're driving, being able to see the up high ones, they're kind of cut off of your vision with the canopy.
Yeah, so
At least that's what I saw last week when I drove through there is, when you're driving right next to them.
that would be a note.
So, no, that would be a requirement.
Keep them consistent.
Would it be able to be legible?
No, as far as
Like,
So
is it
the-
shrinking it or?
There's a couple of challenges. One, because she's in a double unit, the sign wouldn't be centered above the business or above the door, because the door isn't centered above the awning.
Yeah.
It'd be straddling two panels.
And those panels are not connected. They're physically separated by two poles.
Right.
And then her, not, no pun intended, her wish was to be able to put it up on top like Panera and Giant Eagle. And so the landlord, when reviewed with the landlord approved the design.
So Great Clips next door has just one unit.
Yes. And they're not even, and it's not centered on their, if you
And
can
it's
see
not
their
centered
door,
on their unit.
Their door is actually right behind the two bars, the two poles.
So
Right.
their door is behind the two poles and they've got their sign basically to the left of the door then.
That's correct.
But centered on one of the
Panels.
panels.
Correct.
And then Studio Wish has like 1 3/4 bays, you could say.
That's correct.
And their doors are the double doors to the right.
That's correct.
There's up there.
Yeah.
Now I think about it, I can persuade either or. I want you guys to say.
I mean, if it's prohibitive because of the, the option of putting it down on those panels, then it's gonna be cockeyed either on one panel or the other, or straddling the two, which I don't know if that's.
Could it be centered on the right panel, which is where the doors are?
My question is, if Giant Eagle and Panera is allowed to do it, why can't they do it?
Because then everybody would start putting up signs
Why
up
would we
top
make
and
an
down
exception?
low.
Somebody made an exception for those two. Why is somebody else without
I
something?
don't know what the signage program is on that. I think it changed several times, so we had.
I mean, the
rules on
precedent
it.
is there's already 2 up there. So the third one is not going to
Yeah.
hurt. The fourth one is not going to hurt at this point. That's my
Yeah.
my take at this point. It will look hideous, but splitting it on if you could do the same as Great Clips.
Well, there'd be a blank bay in between, and then theirs would be to the right, centered on the bay where their double doors are for their entrance.
So it's not really not right next door to it.
Right, there would be a space in
So that
between.
makes it
There's too much of a challenge to try and center it between the two.
What did you wish it to be at? Where do you want it at?
So she wants it on the top, centered on her storefront, where the rendering is actually, the way the rendering is done.
And then this is,
And if we dropped it down into them panels to be consistent
Yeah.
with the rest of it, then it's gonna be straddling 2 panels and/or completely offset from the center of the business.
Yeah,
That's
I see
correct.
what you're saying.
That's right. So we were trying to work around those elements is what we were trying
Yeah.
to do. Understanding exactly what you just said, right?
Yeah, if they drop it down and move it left or to the right, then it's gonna look cockeyed, not centered on the business.
but it would be centered on the panels that are above where the doors are, above her entrance. Usually you look for the sign and you go to the entrance. Do you know what I mean? If it was right here, her doors are
Now
there.
you're going even further underneath towards where that outcropping of that awning is. So if you're coming from the direction of Giant Eagle, you're really not gonna see that sign.
Yeah. That's a.
It's kind of
Right.
ideally it would be kept consistent with the rest of them, but since she's occupying 2 units,
Right.
No, she's not. She's occupying one.
It's just a 1 unit, but it's a double phase.
It's,
right.
it's,
Okay.
It's not.
no, it only
the
has
units-
one door.
The units aren't aligned with the panels. So
Right.
the way the panels align in the front of the building, it gives you the illusion that that's one business, and it's not. They moved walls. In some cases, like Great Clips is very narrow, right? It doesn't even occupy the whole panel.
Can that panel be changed to so it's one big seamless?
Not because of the bars. If you look, when I say the bars, I'm talking about the posts.
Posts, yeah.
And it's-
The
Columns.
Her doors aren't that far off center on that right side. It's not like her doors are way off in the corner. You know what I mean? They're not that far off if she put the sign up. And then to me, this is a massing. So if she gets to put hers up here on this massing, then it looks like Great Clips is a subsidiary of Studio Wish's salon. Do you know what I mean? Instead of 2 equal tenants. It looks like one has the building and
Yeah,
one
but-
has a tenant spot in it.
Studio Wish has a lot more frontage than compared to Great Clips.
Does it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Great Clips is, you've got.
Two windows.
Right.
It's very, like I said, it's very narrow. It's just half the width of one of the panels.
So we could make Studio Wish kind of the primary unit and make Great Clips the secondary unit?
I think that's how it is. I mean, just the frontage, the square footage wise, Studio Wish has a lot more than Great Clips.
Yeah.
Or anybody, or maybe the Pets one has more.
Right. And so the example that was, that she wanted to use was Panera. So if you look at Panera, they have their.
They're a
main sign.
corner anchor tenant, and
No,
they're given,
They're not, well, they're kind of
Studio
in a
Wish
corner,
was
but they're
the corner
Yeah,
unit.
they're not the corner.
Yeah.
They angle out.
But their previous sign on their existing unit was on the channels.
Panera's.
Studio Wishes.
Oh yes.
It was.
it was down on the sign blade, the
Correct.
sign,
Yeah.
right?
I can, how much harder is it? We're gonna make their lives, we can put it down there.
And if we make an, we made exception for Giant Eagle, Panera.
Dollar Tree's gonna come through next. They're gonna
Yes,
want,
that's
They-
the
they
space
came
that
through
they're taking over. They took
Last
over.
week.
right,
Yeah, and they're down low.
right, and they said that, they had a note,
They are gonna look for a very.
saying that they're
go
going to
on the main-
propose additional sign, it says right here, they will be doing additional signage which may require a variance.
Yeah.
So they're planning to come back through and asking for more too.
Yeah, because they're asking to go on both sides, and then also too in the glass up top.
Yeah, but they're
Since they're the corner unit, they wanted to have
yeah.
view
So
from
Dollar
both
Tree
sides.
is taking over where Studio Wish is, where the little gym was, and many years ago where Seth and Sasha was. So they're taking up that whole row.
Yeah,
Well, Panera has 2 signs or 3 signs, don't they?
Uh,
'Cause they've got one
On the top.
brick, and then they
Yeah.
have one
On the glass.
on the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the corner.
Yes.
You know, if you look at the rest of the plaza, like Nail Creations has theirs on the white panel here, but then the shop's right next to it. They're up on the bricks.
they have awnings.
And
They don't have the
there's-
walking
Yeah, they have nowhere to put it. There is no panel there, but
They don't have a panel.
it's not like the whole plaza is all one level.
Yeah. What bothers me is that I see it as, you know, when you see a sign on the top of a building, it's usually saying that that building belongs to a certain tenant. And so if you've got one person, you know, has the masonry building, and the other person has a sign on the awning, that's what bothers me about it. And then you have this big blank white sign face with nothing on it, which then almost looks vacant when you're driving by up close.
I think her plan is to try and do something with that as well, but we've not gone to that phase yet. Not
Try
not a
and-
sign, just to do something.
She'd be painting colors and things
I-
on it.
We don't know at this point.
That would look tacky.
Yeah, we're not trying to do
Panera's
it.
got it.
Well, see, that's what it's.
They do.
They have their
know-
sign up and then they have.
They have the
their
Panera
color.
leaves and things
Yeah.
going
I
on
mean, when I
there.
first saw it, I was going, why are they putting it up on the brick? But then when I went by there, you know, Panera has it there. I know John Eagle's a bigger tenant, but they're, you know, they're still like a tenant in that, you know, center. And I didn't like it up there, but I would rather had it down on the panels like you're talking about. But it was kind of, I didn't really know where we could go since 2 tenants already have them up there.
Do you want to put it up
You
to the
know, how
road
can
both
we
ways?
tell one they couldn't?
Yeah, there was a sign program on this building.
Can Great Clips move theirs up next to Studio Wish then?
That would be
Can
their
Great Clips
cost.
move theirs up?
Or the
Right.
city's cost.
Well, I'm just saying, and then once they do that, we just have this big white blank sign ban on the front with no signage on it.
There's a
Because
lot-
they've decided to go up higher so they could be
Yeah.
seen from the roadway better or
They might be
something.
back here, if they see everybody else putting up their sign, they might be back here asking for the same thing. They want to put up their sign up there too.
And then does everybody get to put colors on the front of it? Or do we have just a big white blank sign panel and everybody puts their signs up top on the brick?
It's a discussion for later.
I mean, I think ideally
I mean-
we would want this sign where it's at on the bricks, just drop down here. But that's not possible. Drop.
It is possible, and it's also possible
Can be
to,
put on those panels directly below.
and it could be moved over,
Yeah, I
over
mean,
their
they can
entrance.
mount it that way. It can straddle those 2 poles. There'll just be, you know, gaps behind it. They'll still be able to put mounts in them. They'll just have to have the,
Yeah.
you know, longer bolts running through to mount to the face.
So
But then
then,
they're gonna have issues with birds and stuff getting back there, so they're gonna need to seal it off. You know, the birds will get in there and nest all behind it. CVS had that issue. They put that net up,
Yeah,
which looks
it
bad.
looks terrible. I
Are
know.
we okay with the design itself, first of all?
Yeah.
I mean,
Design
it
is-
fits her logo. To me, it's a little hard to read, but it's her logo. So,
You know,
that's fine.
so we can make a motion. We can vote on it.
I think if we drop it down into there, it's going to cockeyed up, not center down the store.
Can it be centered between the columns over the bay where her double door entrance is?
I mean, we'd have to scale it, right? We'd
You'd have to-
scale it down to fit within,
Yeah.
because there's metal bars on the top. Those panels,
That's what
there's a metal frame around it, if you can look at the photograph.
Yeah, on
So
the last,
everything-
for Dollar Tree, we required that it stay inside that channeling around
Do you
it.
know what the
Right.
clearance is in there? Because the sign you have is 36 inches. I don't even know if 36 inches will
It would be,
fit.
it would be a little bit small. I think they run about 30 inches tall. I haven't put a tape measure on it. I
So you'd
really
have
don't
to-
know.
Jane?
Take 6 inches off
Yeah.
the size of the sign or so.
Yeah, we would have to, we'd have to shrink it to size for it to fit in there.
Who's to the left of Great Clips? Do we know that?
It's the pet store.
Yeah.
And then the Vision Place.
And then Panera, or is it?
So there's nobody who would try to squeeze in between Great Clips and Studio Wish?
No, there's no
They're
more room.
immediately
There would be,
adjacent?
yeah, no,
Right,
not with the
okay.
renovations they're doing right now.
Operations there.
Like the renovations they're doing into the building on the inside right now, it's not set up to be another type of tenant.
Another
It would
tenant
be
in
a very like costly,
To try and squeeze somebody else in between?
but yes.
There's,
Okay.
I could almost
there's
say
actually there's no room.
Okay.
There's not another vacant space between where Studio Wish is
Yeah, that's.
going into now and Great Clips.
Okay.
She's taking up
Yeah,
the
they
whole
share a
space.
wall.
Years now. She's moving. Staying in the town, so.
I can make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve case number 221053 as submitted. May I have a second?
What about the location of the sign
As submitted,
He's making a motion as submitted.
as he submitted it?
as submitted. You have a second?
I second it.
Okay.
Roll call.
We've all stated a lot of opinions. Is there any further discussion before we call a vote? Okay,
I'm fine.
we'll call for a vote then.
Mr. Sharma,
Yes.
Mr. Gillen,
Yes.
Mr. Markovitz,
No.
Mr. Midlick,
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier.
No. My reasoning, as I said before, is it looks like these are unequal tenants then. If one has the building masonry sign and one has a sign face sign, and then it leaves the sign face blank. So,
I mean, not to downplay Great Clips, but it is a little more of a high-end hair salon as compared to a $9.99 haircut place right next to it.
okay,
And I'm not
right,
saying anything bad about that, but, and she's been a part of the community for
right.
20
I
years.
have
staying
trouble
here.
valuing
this
different people over others. Even when like the tobacco shop came through, they got the same treatment as any other person because now the next person who moves into that, the next tenant, is just going to say they're doing a sign face replacement. And they're going to keep their sign
Yeah,
up there.
but if we're gonna think about future, there's gonna be a lot of ifs, you know?
Right,
But if they put a sign where everybody's proposing, anybody coming in from Giant Eagle side won't be able to see it.
but they're the corner unit, so I mean, that's just in the nature of being in the corner. That's why people pay more for the outside corners.
Well, it's kind of,
I mean,
There was
it's kind of.
also a
moot point
monument sign
now.
that
Yeah.
was part of the
Yeah,
package.
voted in, but
Yeah. There was a monument sign also.
okay,
Sorry.
The monument sign.
but I don't know if you put in there.
Good catch.
okay, the
On
monument
the second to last
sign,
page.
it's the same logo. Again,
As
I
the-
find the font with the unusual S and the dot underneath it a little bit hard to read, but I don't find it objectionable, so,
The text is different on this sign,
right,
because on your actual sign, STUD is capital, versus the monument sign, STUD is lowercase.
We had to use lowercase in order to fit it.
okay.
It wouldn't fit otherwise.
Panera already has a logo, Mavis Winkles has a logo, so, I'll make a motion to approve it as submitted, the monument sign.
I'll do a second.
Is there any further discussion on the monument sign? Okay, we'll call for a vote.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Gillen?
Yes.
Mr. Markovitz?
Yes.
Mr. Midlick?
Yes.
Mr. Sharma?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the next case then.
Yes.
That is case 221054. It is at 2633 East Aurora Road. It is October Sun Studio signage.
Yes. So you should have a rendering of what we're proposing, just a double-sided post with the panel hanging. It's basically a home that well, it looks like a house that she operates on. So she doesn't have any real wall space or anything that designates where you can put a sign. So
This is the same lady at the art studio in the back.
Yes.
Jean, I believe her name is.
yes.
So my only thoughts is when I saw it, it looked like a realtor sign.
Yeah, I said the same thing in my mind.
We tried to do a number of things, but I'm gonna call it a house because it looks like a house.
Right.
So trying to put like a post and panel sign, or it didn't look good. It looked like somebody was putting a for lease sign.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what this looks like to me. I mean,
But
it
that
really looks
almost-
like a realtor sign. As
That
soon as I
almost
saw
might catch your
it.
attention, thinking it's for sale, and then realizing it's a business.
can we do
Yeah.
all sides with the wood? Like, you know how this hanging from this side, we do the same thing on this side? So it won't look like a realtor sign?
So that's what we were thinking about doing. But in order to make it like a post and panel sign, which is what you're describing, it needs to have a lot more space. And that was a budgetary decision as well. Not only because when to put two posts into the ground and to make it enough that you can actually see it, you need more width than height in order to be able to catch it. And so from a design perspective, when we kind of went down that path, unless we went into a really, I'll say elegant, but more elaborate type of frame, then it became really cost prohibitive for her.
Yeah.
Give a pretty good gem on this one. This does look like a realtor sign.
Yeah. I meant, it says art studio, but it doesn't stand out enough to make me look at it. The first thing I thought of, the same thing, is I'll drive right by and thinking it's just
It's a for sale sign. It's a
Yeah.
realtor sign. And then even with the hang tags underneath it, which give you important information, but just the style of it, that's where they put the open house and the sold.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, the big panel with the two small underneath it, it's like, that's a
Yeah.
realtor
I've
sign.
been
I'm like, we're seeing
announced it,
realtor
yeah.
signs? And then I read it and I'm like, oh, it's the art studio.
I think that it should say.
I like that it has the address.
Yeah.
I like that it has a logo.
There's a lot on the small sign.
Was there a reason you didn't want to make it all just one panel instead of the little hang panels underneath?
She wanted to be able to, if she needed to change it, to put hours or stuff like that. To be
She'd
able-
have to come back through because otherwise that's changeable text and you have to qualify for that as like a nonprofit or a government organization.
Okay. I mean, that was part of the idea that
Yeah.
she didn't need to necessarily hang all that stuff all the time. She could remove it as well.
Is this her logo? Like that's her
That's her
business
that's her
card,
business.
everything?
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at the property, and I don't know, we gave you a front view.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees. There's in the winter you'll be able to see the house, but in the summer you can barely see the house.
Yeah.
It's just very wooded. So the area where we were placing it also was kind of,
Right.
we picked the best place to put it just so that it had some visibility while adhering to the setbacks and the.
I don't think it's a bad looking sign. not what I would have done though.
I think the colors are nice for there too.
Yeah.
The color matches her door. We actually went and matched her door because that's what she wanted.
If I was her, I would definitely pronounce art studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a busy street, and you're going down, and it's a small
Yeah,
sign. and
people
try and
get
catch your
intrigued when
eye.
they see art studio.
Right. If it said, yeah, October Sun Art Studio or something, you know, and that really, yeah, otherwise, I mean, I really just look at it as a, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good
It
sign.
would slip right by me. Now, if you're looking for it, you'll know, like, if you, like, you already knew what it was.
Right.
If you just
Right.
drive by it, you're not stopping to
Yeah.
see it. you know.
It's also a little oversized than a realtor sign. A realtor sign is typically like,
Yeah.
it's just a yard sign that's hanging. This is actually a next size bigger. So it's actually the size of two yard signs put together.
Yeah, so she's pretty busy there, or you don't know that?
She hasn't opened yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Or if she has, she's not full swing yet, so.
She probably didn't even think
Yeah.
about it.
Is this your design or the jeans design?
She gave us the logo, the
Yeah.
October Sun Studios Limited. That's she came up with her logo, and then we just incorporated the color to match the door.
Like I told, I'm rooting for her. I like the concept. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so do
It's a
I.
great idea downtown.
Yeah.
I hate to see her limit herself with a sign that,
Yeah, you
you know,
can
like I
mention
said,
it
going
to
down a
her.
busy street and
You can mention that to her.
I mean, she's an artist.
Yeah.
Come up with something like it's more
Yeah.
pop.
Right.
it's not offensive. Like,
Yeah,
like
we all
this-
agree
this-
it's not a bad sign.
I worry it makes it look like there's a property for sale on the street permanently.
It just looks very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean we can't move on it.
I guess it is, because that's in her budget. So,
Right,
Yeah.
and that was the other
Yeah.
constraint was her budget. Right?
Yeah, but
I mean, even just adding another post and,
Yeah, that would
you know,
make a
a little
difference.
finial or something on it
Yeah, that's a good
would,
point.
you know, just make it look permanent rather than the,
Yeah, because that's where you see someone
Temporary.
carrying in people's houses, pound a sign in the ground like that. There's only one post. So maybe a second post would make a difference.
So you're
They're just
suggesting
comments.
maybe something, just fancy up the existing post, add another post?
that's what I was saying. If we just added a second post and, yeah, I mean, if it crossed through the way that one does and like, you know, if it had some shape, some design to
You're saying
it.
that's not possible because
No, I'm not
the sign
saying-
would have to be wider, or?
We would typically make it wider at that point.
Yeah.
Because
Not
whenever,
much, right?
in order to use one panel, to make it double-sided, you have to slide the panel into the, these are vinyl sleeves. There's a 4x4 post that goes into the ground, and then vinyl sleeves go over the 4x4. The panels slide into the vinyl sleeve, so you have to make
Like one of those
the
roads
panels
today.
oversized.
See it.
In the rendering we have, it looks like they're individual hanging pieces. Like I
No,
can see.
they are. I'm referring to if we put another post,
I mean, you still hang it if it was,
it would be a completely different frame. So I can propose something like that, but it would still hang the way that it hangs today, unless we went to a completely different design or a different structure on how to put it into the ground with
Well,
as
now-
opposed to panel.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is like, at least, and I don't know if that's the same thing Jennifer was leading to, but if you put a post on the other side, you may have to add another 6 inches into the width or something to get a little more space so that,
It slides
you
into
know,
the panel.
because the panel's gonna be thin. The posts are what, 4x4?
4x4, yes.
And the panel's only what, 3/4 inch thick or something like that? If that.
3 millimeter, yeah.
how much bigger will that make the sign on the minimum if you do add a second post?
Right now it's 36, so you would need probably 6 more inches, so 42.
I'd be okay with a bigger sign, slightly
I'd be okay
bigger,
with-
if it made it look, you know, more framed and permanent.
It's only one more post. Is that a wooden post in there?
It's a wooden post in the ground. It's a vinyl sleeve over the
Yeah, I mean, so it's only a post and a sleeve. It would make a difference,
She
I
decides to
think.
go with double posts.
You're probably looking at about a couple $100 for sure.
What's that?
It's about a couple $100 more.
We'd have to
Yeah.
You
make a
gotta dig
motion
2 holes.
that includes the addition of
Or is that gonna
a
be
second
put in
post.
concrete or just?
Yeah,
in the
so you put
Just
the,
approve
you
it
put the
that
post
way.
to concrete and then you put the vinyl sleeves over it.
Or we'd have to vote on it as is and see how that goes, and then we could make a change if we wanted to. but-
Does it have to, so these aren't actually hanging and swinging in the breeze?
They are, in this design, they are.
They are.
They're hanging, yeah.
Is there a more decorative, I'm not saying make it out of black pipe, but you know where I'm going, like, something that would almost look like a wrought iron sign that it would be hanging or frame that it would be hanging?
So that would have to be made out of aluminum, right? Because these are just vinyl sleeves.
Which then brings the price up.
Correct.
He says it's about $100 they had to post.
Another vinyl post,
Yeah,
right?
that's reasonable.
Total
I'd
cost
have to
of
go
this
back to her,
project
you know,
Yeah.
again, we were just trying to,
I mean, we can move on what they have and then make suggestions that she might want to look at and tell them.
I can offer
tell
her
her
the
some of the
suggestion for
things
sure.
we brought up. She might not even realize it, but having that's what you always see somebody pounding in the ground for sale, just the right angle, you know.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a little bit bigger, so it does have a bigger presence in the sign itself. I mean, you can't necessarily tell by the
It takes away
dimension.
from you looking at it as a realtor sign.
Correct.
All right, so somebody can make a motion, I'm sure. I'm not going to make a motion, no.
Trying to think how to make it.
Well, we could do a motion for it as is, see how the vote goes. We could do a motion that adds a second post to it and just start with that if we wanted to.
Can we do two different ones and see whichever, how it goes and,
If one of them passes, then it's over,
can we do it?
right?
Hush, hush behind you.
I can leave. Yeah, I can step out of the room.
And I think it's safe to say that if we try to pass, somebody makes a motion to pass it as is, it's gonna fail.
What- So you do a lot of signs, what's your thought on it? What would you do if it was
So
your choice?
the reason we went down this path was because there was budgetary concerns. There was also limited space. So we wanted to make sure that it had visibility. We wanted to make sure that it was big enough that when vehicles were passing by, they could actually read it, the letters. And so we maximized the space based on the size. And the way to do that was to have it hang so that you're using all of it and none of it is going into a sleeve. And also minimize the cost of the frame itself, because the frame itself is just a vinyl sleeve, right? Anything that we want to make more elegant, the price of aluminum is astronomically expensive right now. And so to go down that path is, again, would have been cost prohibitive. So we just factored all of those elements and then tried to use her design and, the fact that she wanted it to match her door. And so we kind of blended in all of that together.
If the sign gets any bigger, would that be a problem with setbacks or anything?
It just can't encroach any closer to the road than, I believe what they have there, they have a 10-foot, which is a 10-foot setback from the public right of way.
Yeah. And that's where the sign starts now.
Are there
So we
any
would
other
affect-
signs in Twinsburg that are single posts like that for business?
I can't think of any,
Anywhere?
but I
I don't
didn't
know.
go on a hunt looking.
Yeah, which might take a while, but I'll
Find one. I mean, I
put it
can't
in the
think of any.
Twinsburg round table and see if somebody says, oh, yeah.
Can we just take a vote on it as submitted and provide
Yeah,
our feedback? Maybe they'll come back with something else.
yeah, they might. That's my thought is, I'll make the motion to approve it as submitted. But I think that you should bring that up to her.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll second it so we can run a vote. We've had a lot of
I said I
discussion.
wasn't going to make a motion, so I
So
called
just,
you out.
the motion was as submitted?
Yes.
Submitted, yes. I figured someone else would move on it.
Okay, we'll call for a vote.
Mr. Midlick,
Yes.
Mr. Gillen,
Yes,
Mr. Markovitz,
Yes.
Mr. Sharma,
No.
Mrs. Frazier.
No. So, okay. So then it is approved.
Okay. I will convey the message to her. And,
That it comes across as a realtor sign. You had 5 people on the board all think that.
Yeah.
okay.
I
So,
think she's shortchanging herself, and I understand, it's easy for me to say I'm not spending her money.
Right.
But I really like the concept down there and would really hope she's successful. And hopefully it's
Yeah.
enough where she can put something a little bit bigger. 'Cause
Yeah.
But once downtown's, once the redevelopment gets going, I think, she's in a good location.
Right, right. Okay.
And I'd like, yeah, if it said October Sun Art Studio, rather than October Sun Studios LTD,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The LTD makes it sound more like it's a law firm, I don't know.
So you'd have to
She-
come back though if
yeah.
she wants to change.
Yeah, if she
Okay.
wants to change it, she's gotta come
Okay.
back through.
I'll
It
let
would
her.
fly through
But
if
it-
you took that. I like
Okay.
that idea, how to
Yeah.
pronounce it too.
She's an artist, tell her to be creative.
Have you worked with artists before? I have two graphic designers on staff.
But you can put it real small.
They're pretty challenging.
You know what I mean?
Creative.
Yeah.
It-
You can make the LTD real small next to it, but yeah. If that's her official name, I don't
It's
know.
her
Yeah, make
logo,
it.
yeah. I mean.
Yeah, I'd
but I
add
will share the
another
message.
post. I'd add another post and jazz up so you can really see the art studio words.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll share the
okay.
message. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh boy. This went on for a lot longer than I
It's
expected
way
tonight.
longer than I thought it was going to.
I really thought we were in for 10 minutes.
I did too.
Okay, sorry about that.
I could have went either way on both of those. It was 50.
Getting our money's worth today.
Well,
All right.
to her point, we opened up a can of worms in the plaza where now everybody might wanna, but
Yeah, I know.
The sign is just,
And it leaves a blank sign face. I assure you they're going to come in trying to put something up on
I
that
think
sign
both-
face now.
Both sides are gonna
Yeah.
be same.
And they're going to get double. Just like the store with the big cat in the window.
Yeah,
that
so
bin
with
store.
that being said, I'm looking into the ordinance right now, because I don't know how they're gonna word it if I make a case to them for having signage on a window, because it's technically, they could call it something else. I don't wanna put that on record either, but it would be.
They put a
something that-
wall in front of a window and put the sign on the wall. So it's not technically
it's
on the
almost like-
window, but it's,
Yeah, it's almost like a mural.
Yeah.
right.
Is it hurting anything by having up there?
I just,
It's not
if
an,
it's in violation, I wanna make sure that we get them out of
It
there.
doesn't
so
look
that-
that
I think
bad. I'd
we
rather
gave
see
you the
that
idea.
cat
I
over
want-
there than having a blank window there. Personally, that's my.
I don't like the cat.
I gotta look at it.
As odd as that sounds, it reminds
Wonderland
me
bins.
of drugs.
Oh,
Well, it's Alice in Wonderland cat.
Allison,
Allison.
exactly.
that's.
So when I see that,
So,
it sounds it seems low class.
I don't know if anybody's been in
Wonder
there. They've
if,
got a couple
Alice in
toys.
Wonderland cat?
They had
Is there a
glass.
little- I think you
like,
were
marijuana pipes
gone
in
that
there.
meeting, because you remember
There we
this.
go. And that's what that gives me the inkling
It's right,
of.
it's right by,
I haven't been into it.
I found it.
yeah, look in the big
$10
glass above it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm not complailing.
Yeah, you live right across the street, so if anybody can
AirPods, I got a
complain.
brand new AirPods for like $10.
All right, we have the meeting minutes from Thursday, September 15th to look at. I already looked through them. I didn't see anything that needed to be corrected, so.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted minutes. May I have a second?
I will second.
Okay. Can you call the vote?
Mr. Sharma,
Yes.
Mr. Gillen,
Yes.
Mr. Markovitz,
Yes.
Mr. Midley,
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier.
Yes. Okay, does anyone have anything else they'd like to discuss on the record today?
Yeah, if, like, when I go to a site and take some pictures of something, should I submit that through the email instead of us doing it here, or is that a conflict, or is that, like, would that be a quorum if I share that with everybody on
I
the
don't think
board?
that would be, I don't see why that would be.
If
an
it's
issue.
photographs, I don't think there should be an issue. Us discussing them in the email would probably be an issue.
Okay.
But just having photographs,
Instead of me, now I'm in the middle of a meeting in front of
Right,
somebody,
right.
trying to share them with,
being like, hey, look at this one. No, and I think that it's appropriate to share, like, you know, in the meeting too, if it's a photograph, you know, it's,
I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I take pictures last week and then I send them in the email that came through in this particular case, then we have them, people at their convenience can look at them through the week instead of on D-Day.
I'll find out if that's allowed, and if not, I'll let you know, or I'll let you know either way, I guess, but.
I usually
Okay.
always leave the house early on Thursdays. and
Drive by,
to the site.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing. There's been times when I didn't got time, I didn't go, but I would say like 70% of times I usually go. This one, I just didn't have time, so before the meeting here, I drove by it, I actually have to go to Giant Eagle for something. So I just like looked at it, you know.
I happened to go to UH in the corner. So
Yeah.
on my way out, I drove past them and went, I can't see the up top. I can only see the ones that are on the sign
Yeah, I was
face.
on top of the pharmacy and on what we
Yeah.
just like looked at. That's why I was looking at it. If the sign would have been at the white spot, you can't see it. I know it sucks if it's a corner spot,
Mm-hmm.
but if we made an exception for Giant Eagle, Panera being on a corner, why can't we make it for this person?
Because it leaves a blank sign face. Sorry, I don't want to go back and do it
Yeah, I
again.
get that. But like how Panera did it, they got the colors over there. They
Right.
can do something like that. It actually looks beautiful. You showed a picture of it. It does look nice with the colors.
Panera's does, yes.
So they could do something like that.
They could,
It
or they
may
could come in with
elevate-
a hand-painted thing that then we have to vote on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're aware that they're not gonna touch that up, right?
Like, I don't
Without,
think about it, you know.
they're not gonna paint those panels without having to come in first, right?
Yeah, I mean, before, they don't have their occupancy yet, so when we do our final walkthrough with them, I'll make sure I bring that up to the owner.
Fair.
Yeah, they elected not to use the sign panel, so
Yeah.
Should visit.
they can't just
If they
double
want
up
to
their
do anything, they have to
signage.
bring it in front of you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe Greg Trips will step up their game
I don't
next.
see her out in the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't paid for your haircut in 20
She
years.
still has.
I know, when you
How
said
do
it was
you even do
$9.99,
that?
I was like, you haven't got your haircut.
That's
like six-
just going on old.
It's like
I just paid like
$16 or
$20
$17 or something like that, or
I just paid
$18.
$23 like
Months ago.
2
Yeah.
hours ago.
Yeah.
The Great Clips?
Wow.
No.
Oh,
There's right next to the Fresh Diner, the haircut house of
She needs to
Twinsburg.
lose.
oh, okay.
That'll help.
Yeah, haircut's $20, $25 every time now.
It's 20, $20 on top. It's $23.
And before this, I had hair down.
It looks
like-
very fresh.
So,
Very
2 hours
nice.
ago. And I gotta go to Columbus for this weekend, so I won't have time tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go home.
Okay.
Leaving,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. It is 6:40.
I'll second.
Mrs. Fraser,
Yes.
Mr. Sharma,
Yes.
Mr. Gillen,
yes.
Mr. Markovitz,
Yes.
Mr. Midley.
Yes.
Or once, can somebody say no?